Welcome to the Stoic Tide. There comes a time when you realize not every conversation is worth having, not every connection is worth keeping, and not every crowd deserves your presence. We live in a world obsessed with noise where silence is feared and solitude is misunderstood. People rush to fill every quiet space with chatter, laughter, gossip, or the endless scroll of meaningless interaction. But what if that constant socializing, that desperate need to be seen, heard, and validated, is the very thing draining your strength, dulling your mind, and weakening your soul? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What he didn't add, but what we have learned, is that those thoughts are shaped by the people we let close to us. Every word, every attitude, every emotion exchanged in conversation becomes a drop of dye coloring the mind. When we socialize too much, we hand over the brush that paints our inner world to others, often those who have no control over their own. Socializing, when done without purpose, is the slowest form of self-eraser. You begin to talk like them, think like them, even feel their emotions. You lose the ability to sit with yourself because you've trained your mind to depend on external noise for comfort. The Stoics warned us of this danger centuries ago. Seneca, one of the greats, wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." He knew that most interactions don't refine us, they corrode us. The more you mingle with those who lack discipline, virtue, or direction, the more you drift away from your true self. We, the ones who walk this quieter path, understand this truth. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the training ground of the mind. When you withdraw from constant socializing, you don't isolate yourself from the world. You isolate yourself from distraction. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You start to question why you felt the need to impress others, why you laughed at jokes that didn't amuse you, why you tolerated company that left you emptier each time. You begin to see that silence is not an absence. It's a presence, a mirror that reveals who you truly are when no one is watching. Epictetus reminded us, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And that's exactly what happens when you stop socializing the way the world expects you to. People will call you distant, arrogant, or antisocial, but in truth you've simply chosen peace over pretense, clarity over chaos. You no longer need to be understood because you finally understood yourself. The world will tell you that socializing builds happiness. But look closely. Most gatherings are built on avoidance. People afraid to be alone with their thoughts. Most conversations are rehearsed masks, words meant to fill the air, not the soul. When you refuse to play that game, you start to attract the kind of silence that heals instead of hides. This doesn't mean you reject humanity. It means you choose quality over quantity. The Stoics didn't live as hermits. They lived intentionally. They spoke when words had weight. They surrounded themselves with those who sharpened their reason and challenged their emotions, not those who fed their vanity. True power is not found in how many people you know. It's found in how little you need them to remain centered. When you can be alone without anxiety, when your joy no longer depends on conversation or validation, that's when you have mastered yourself. You become what the Stoics called olars, self-sufficient, internally whole, unshaken by the tides of society. So yes, sometimes the worst thing you can do is socialize because it teaches you to escape your own presence. It trains your mind to seek comfort in others rather than courage within yourself. But the moment you step back, the moment you choose silence over noise, solitude over superficiality, something changes. The fog clears. The world quiets. You feel something ancient awaken within the calm authority of someone who no longer needs the crowd to know their worth. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is in your power to withdraw into yourself whenever you choose." And that is the greatest power we possess. To retreat inward, to build strength where others seek escape, to stand firm in a world that worships distraction. Because in the end, the goal is not to have countless voices around us, but one clear, steady voice within us. And that voice, your voice, is only heard when the world goes silent. 2, you've realized that most conversations are just noise. Most people talk not to exchange wisdom, but to escape silence. They speak because they fear what they might hear if everything went quiet. But when you begin to awaken, when your mind sharpens and your awareness deepens, you start to feel something strange. Conversations that once entertained you now exhaust you. Words that once seemed meaningful now feel hollow. It's not arrogance, it's awakening. You've started to see how much of the world is built on meaningless chatter, and how rare it is to find someone who speaks from the depths instead of the surface. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once warned, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." He was teaching us that the energy we waste judging others, gossiping, or explaining ourselves to those who will never understand, is the same energy we need to master our minds. Constant socializing, endless discussions, arguments over trivial matters. All of these keep us entangled in emotional noise, and noise breeds weakness. We live in an era where silence is a rarity, and attention is the new currency. Every word, every post, every opinion is a bid for validation. But those of us who step away from this cycle start to feel a new kind of strength. We become observers rather than participants in the chaos. We listen more. We react less. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. Clarity. You begin to notice how often people speak without thinking, how often they project rather than reflect. You stop seeking approval from conversations and start seeking truth within your thoughts. You stop trying to be understood and start trying to understand. And slowly, the energy you once poured into talking becomes the energy you now invest in becoming. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If that's true, then why do we spend so much time feeding our minds with noise that weakens us? Every idle conversation, every superficial interaction dilutes the strength of your inner dialogue. The Stoic knows this. He chooses words carefully and uses silence as his greatest form of communication. When you detach from meaningless conversations, you're not rejecting people. You're protecting your peace. You're saying, "My energy is sacred. My attention is valuable." You no longer hand it out freely to anyone who demands it. You understand that some people don't want your truth. They want your reaction, and the wisest thing you can do is to give them neither, because in a world where everyone talks, the one who listens deeply, quietly, patiently becomes dangerous, not because he's cold or distant, but because he no longer needs validation to exist. His silence speaks louder than anyone's words, and that in the truest sense is power. 3. You've learned that presence is more powerful than popularity. As we awaken, we realize that being seen by everyone is far less important than being fully present in each moment. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Time spent chasing social approval, attending meaningless gatherings, or trying to impress others is time stolen from mastering ourselves. When we step back from constant socializing, we notice a shift. Our attention turns inward toward the mastery of our mind, our body, and our reactions. In these moments of solitude, we cultivate depth, a rare magnetism that cannot be faked. People may call it aloofness, but it is not detachment from life. It is disciplined presence. Our energy becomes measured, deliberate, controlled, and this control is far more attractive than any outward popularity. We begin to understand that attention is a resource, not a right. Every interaction, every conversation should have purpose. To scatter it across trivial matters is to dilute our inner power. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Similarly, influence is not in being everywhere, but in being impactful where it matters. Those who are constantly socializing seek validation. Those who cultivate presence command respect. By withdrawing from the superficial, we enter a space where our silence communicates authority, our calm communicates strength, and our focus communicates intelligence. Others may chatter endlessly, but we understand that the quality of our presence outweighs the quantity of our connections. In this way, the final mastery of social restraint is not loneliness. It is empowerment. It is choosing substance over noise, depth over surface, and self-mastery over fleeting approval. The Stoic knows that in a world obsessed with appearances, true influence comes quietly, patiently, and with unwavering confidence. 4. You've discovered that inner fortitude outlasts external approval. We live in a world that constantly seeks to measure us by likes, comments, and approval. Yet, those who cultivate a Stoic mindset understand a profound truth. External validation is fleeting, while inner fortitude is eternal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The essence of strength lies not in pleasing others, but in remaining unshaken by their judgments. Stay stoic, stay blessed, and thanks for watching.